Hey YouTube, it's Sarah, and it's Spirited Saturdays today, and Elena and I, we chose a topic kind of along the lines of this. Someone had mentioned that many people talk about the difficulty of eating in front of other people, and I feel strange in that I generally eat normally in front of other people and have trouble coping with food when I'm alone. If I'm with someone, I pay attention to what they eat and try to follow their example, food choices, portion sizes, the speed at which they eat, etc. When I'm alone, I don't have my own hunger cues to tell me when to eat or when to stop eating, which means I might skip for a day or two, or might binge uncontrollably. When I'm apathetic about recovery, I'm relieved if I'm alone because I don't feel obligated to eat normally. But when I'm trying to eat healthy, I get really anxious if I have to eat alone. Is this rare, or does anyone else find this eating with others can be easier than eating alone? I don't think that's rare. It's not something that I've experienced personally, but I don't think it's rare, and I think it's very, very healthy, and I really think that you should congratulate yourself on getting to that point. It's the reason that people have group therapy. It's the reason that we get better in groups a lot of the time, because following someone's example with the food choices, the portion sizes, the speed at which they eat, etc., when they're healthy is such a great, amazing thing to do. We call it mechanical eating. So you start, you don't know what to do at first, but you just go through the motions of it. So no, I don't think that's weird at all. I don't know about how rare it is or whatever, but I don't think it's a problem. In fact, I think it's very healthy. I also must kind of be a little bit honest in the fact that I'm not eating normally right now. I'm trying to, but it's not something that I get really right now. But in times of recovery, when I've been a little bit better, I know that I do enjoy eating with others, and I do, as long as I'm not worried about them being judging or fixated on what I'm eating, then I don't really mind eating with others, and I do find it a little bit easier. One of the things that I am encouraged to do in my clinic is to match pace with others. We'd get at a table and we'd have, the two newest people towards the end of the table where the nurse could watch them a little bit more, and the two oldest people, like the people who've been in the program the longest, at the end. And if you had questions about how fast to be eating, then you were to sort of just glance over their way, see how much they've eaten, that kind of thing. So it can be a very healthy thing, and I think it's so phenomenal that you've gotten to that point where you can just sort of be like, you know what, I trust that others around me have the hang of this, and I trust that I'm enough like them that I can deal with what they do, and I know that they're healthy, and I know that they don't want me to be sick or fat or whatever, so I'm going to go with what they do. I think that's amazing. I think that, you've reached that point where you know that you can trust that if they make a mistake, that you'll be able to handle it, and you will. And I think that's amazing. I think that is, if it's rare, then I think that's unfortunate, but I think it's very, very healthy. But I don't know about rare or not. I know that some people feel that eating in front of others is really, really triggering, and I know that some people feel like eating in front of others that know what the issue is a little bit less triggering than eating in front of others who don't know what the issue is. I personally don't mind eating in front of others as long as I'm not the only one eating. That's what my main problem is when people are watching me eat and I'm the only one eating. But I don't know if that's abnormal. I think that's very healthy. And as for the, being kind of anxious about eating on your own, that's very, very normal. Have a meal plan and have a single place where you eat, a meal plan that you always follow, and that You have to eat everything on that plate, you know, and it's, you know, again, the mechanical eating. Just because someone's not there means that you have to rely on yourself. And that can be hard, but it can be done too. I think that a lot of the anxiety about eating in front of others comes from, oh, they're going to judge me. And they're not. And I'm really glad that you've picked up on that, because that's one less obstacle to deal with. Nobody who's eating is looking at you. You know, they're too busy enjoying their food. You know, it's so, yeah, I think that's really helpful. But if you are eating on your own, it's helpful to remember that nobody's watching you. They can't, like, otherwise they'd, shove a potato in their cheek or something. But yeah, one of the things that you do is, like, pretend that someone who is there, I don't know, okay, what I used to do, kind of tried, like, switching bodies with someone that I really, really love. And, I'm not going to starve that person. I'm going to try and feed that person the way that I would feed someone. Like, I'm trying to feed my body the way that I would feed her. I would really find that helpful in terms of, I don't want her to starve, obviously, because I care about her. She needs the nutrition, she needs the nourishment. And even though I can't reach that level right now that I feel like I need that, that's what I've done. I've put plates of food and I've dished them out for someone, like, that I would serve. If I had them over for dinner, I'd be like, okay, this isn't my plate. It's, Joe Blow, who's not actually coming for dinner, but I think that he might want some dinner, so I'll put it on a plate and, decide how much he will want, and that's the same plate that I'm going to eat. So I found that kind of helpful. But yeah, I can see how people find that they don't feel obligated to eat normally. When you're alone, you don't have to cook. Like, it's very hard when you're alone to cook for one person. When you don't have somewhere to sit down to eat, it can be very difficult to do. I don't think it's rare or abnormal. I think just people get caught up in the fact that they're being watched, and that's what is triggering and upsetting for them. But when you realize that you aren't being watched, I know that I personally found it easier when I know that I'm not being watched, when I know that there's, like, 6 other eating disorder patients so focused on their food that they can't even carry on a conversation. I know that I find it easier eating with others. And that's very, very normal, because it's a very social thing. And it's, yeah, I think it's a healthy thing. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to go with for this week. And things to remember is that metabolically, if you eat too much, your body is going to forgive that. Your body is at a point right now where it'll forgive that. It'll be like, whoa, score, like, we just got a little too much and we probably need it, and you know what, thanks, that's great. But if you do skip eating for a day or two, that is going to throw your metabolism all out of whack again. I promise you. Your metabolism at this point is going to forgive a slip in the way of too much food rather than too little, or purging or anything really destructive like that. So anxiety-wise, I'm hoping that's going to calm you down. If you eat a little too much, you're not going to see it go, like, skyrocketing on the scale. Or if for some reason, you do end up binging and it does skyrocket on the scale, it'll probably come down within 3 or 4 days. Just because, your metabolism is a wonderful thing that way, and it has learned that you don't want to feed it sometimes. So when it gets scared that that's going to happen again, it slows down and holds on to the food. But if you feed it constantly and you feed it a little too much for a little bit, it'll just sort of be like, oh, wow, it's kind of pleasantly surprising. I think we can handle this, and you won't even notice it. People start to gain weight when they're consistently eating too much. And that's, if that's, and when I say gain weight, I mean gain weight that is not healthy for them. And, you know, you can be underweight and eating normal meals and still be gaining weight, but that's something that you need to do. Or you can, like, if you're a normal weight and you're eating too much, like, when people become obese, it's because they're doing it regularly, not because they're slipping up once in a while, if that makes any sense whatsoever. You know, go with your metabolism, go with your body, trust it. It trusts you a lot more than you trust it. Just keep that in mind. And I'm probably, like, running out of time right now. So anyway, see you later. Have a good week. Take care.